Hi, I'm Tom Scarpello of Revology Cars, and this is car number 94, a 1967 Shelby GT500 in Wimbledon White with Guardsman Blue LeMans stripes and black interior. Today I'm going to take you around this car, we'll go for a drive and talk a little bit about the philosophy behind Revology Cars and what made this car and all the other Revology Mustangs and Shelby GTs possible. 67 GT500. So this car is one of the more authentic looking GT500s that we've produced. Really from the exterior, the only thing you notice, it's got LED lights, both headlamps and the driving lamps. It has the flush mounted hood pins. Most people are going to just look at it and think, wow, that's an original 67 GT500 that's been, really well restored. At the back of the car, almost completely original looking with the exception of the LED reverse lamps and of course the larger exhaust, which obviously is necessary given the significantly more powerful engine. So the interior on this car is our standard interior in black, and we use a very high quality automotive grade leatherette material. So it has a look and a feel like leather, but it's actually vinyl. The client has opted for contrast stitching in blue. It's a subtle touch that matches the Le Mans stripe. So it looks really sharp, but also very authentic and very original. So the original car, you gotta turn the key and first you gotta pump the gas, get some gas into the carburetors, and then you gotta turn it over. Eventually you get it going. But here's how you start our car. So yeah, I know the whole thing about the character of the old car and everything, and yeah, that's great. I mean, that's fine until you have to actually go someplace. So this car is equipped with the 10R80 automatic. This is a very refined, smooth transmission. It has a gear for any occasion, no matter what you're doing. So I'm not a traditional custom car builder by any means. My background is all automotive, but it's mostly with OEMs, original equipment manufacturers. I was with Ford for 17 years and with Nissan for 7 years. And when I started Revology Cars almost 8 years ago, my idea was to build classic cars the way that OEMs build modern cars. And one key element of that strategy is the use of OEM components and parts. If you look closely at a Revology Mustang or Shelby GT, you'll find a lot of OEM components, mostly Ford, but also GM, BMW, Mazda, Hyundai, Mercedes, Porsche, a lot of different OEMs, and we'll pick the component that is best suited for for our application. Why do we do it? Well, it's a simple explanation, and that's what we call QRD: quality, reliability, durability. There's this myth that the aftermarket somehow is better, innovative and nimble, and these really creative and thoughtful people in Southern California can come up with, for example, an engine tune or calibration that gets more power that those doofus engineers back in Detroit just couldn't figure out. Well, that's just wrong. It's completely wrong. The difference is that the OEM engineers are working with a lot of constraints that the aftermarket just disregards. So if you're an OEM engineer, and we'll use that calibration example, you're working on a team. They're working for months to develop a powertrain calibration for a new vehicle to make sure that that engine works perfectly in every possible operating environment that it could find itself in. Hot weather, cold weather, high altitude, low altitude, all different kinds of load, not just wide open throttle. You think about it, you don't really use wide open throttle that much on the street. It's all those other operating conditions is really what you're designing for. Importantly, durability. You know, if you're an OEM, you sell that car with a warranty, you know, you're on the hook. Something goes wrong with it, if that engine doesn't last, you know, you're on the hook to repair it. Like, everything's a trade-off. If you want to get more power, you're going to give up something else. Really, when you consider the best overall component that meets all of these objectives, it's going to be an OEM component. You're talking about a component that was designed to go in millions of vehicles versus maybe tens or hundreds of vehicles, and the amount of resources that were dedicated to the development of that component and the testing and everything that went on, the sophistication of the manufacturing process, it's a totally different deal. So that's why we use, wherever possible, OEM components. You know, for example, our radiator and our electric fans, they are the current model Coyote engine components. And, you know, we had to redesign the engine bay to be able to fit them, because they would never fit an original you know, Mustang engine bay. Now, if you're a hot rod builder and somebody hires you to build a you know, a really cool resto-mod Mustang, you know, you're going to go out and get an aftermarket radiator that'll fit that Mustang engine bay. You're not going to redesign the entire engine bay to use a current OEM radiator and fans like we did. It's a different thought process. It's design the car to accommodate the components we want to use, not come up with some components that will fit the car and have some of the trade-offs that we talked about earlier. Have we ever had a cooling problem? Never. This is car 94. All the cars we built never had a cooling problem, because we always use factory cooling. We've got cars in the Middle East, no cooling problem. That is a good example of why we have this philosophy of using OEM components. And it's just one reason that Revology is different from anyone else that's out there. You know, when I started the company, one of my objectives was to create a company that I would want to buy a car from. And, you know, we've done it. I'm really proud of what our team has achieved.